Hi guys, my name is Evan Herrman, and this is Lasting Legacy Show. This is my co-host, Stephen Gunn, and today we got another special co-host. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Moore, president of YBT. Matt, thank you for joining us today as our co-host.
Well, I am humbled. I don't think I've ever been introduced that way before, so yeah, that's a first for me. Oh my gosh, first of all, I gotta say, you guys missed an excellent seminar. Jerry Robinson, who's here with us today, he was an excellent keynote speaker, and I brought him to Oklahoma, to Tulsa specifically, to speak on something that is a growing, developing technology that is going to change the world. My personal opinion.
Sure.
And I think it's going to, we're on the Lasting Legacy Show here, it's going to affect people's legacies. In my personal opinion, it has. It already has. I mean, people have made tons of money off of it. But the technology that I'm talking about is blockchain technology. And some people also know Bitcoin, which is built on blockchain technology. But Jerry came down and he spoke on cryptocurrencies. And with the exponential and compounding growth of technology, I think Jerry really hit it home to the business community, because we had a room full of entrepreneurs and business owners who wanted to hear about how is it going to affect the world, how is it going to affect trade, and what should we do, to be ahead of this? How can we get involved, and stay on top of the game? So, Jerry, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
For those who are unfamiliar with blockchain and Bitcoin and the technology, because there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there and a lot of them have different specialties. But just to simplify the best you can, to summarize, what is Bitcoin and why should people care?
Yeah, Bitcoin is basically the world's first decentralized digital currency. And by decentralized, what that means is that there is no central authority that oversees it. Yeah. So there is no third-party administrator, there is no third party that takes a cut between every transaction. It allows anyone, anywhere to send money to anyone, anywhere, without anyone's permission. No one needs to have permission to do this. You don't have to receive any kind of, no one has to sign off on this. And so, you think about it, for example, if you wanted to send, say, $10 million from New York City to London, the quickest way to actually have that cash show up in London, the cash itself, would be to fly it on a plane. That would be the quickest way to do it. You could wire it, but it would still take time for it to translate into the cash. With Bitcoin, it can be very quick. And so as we see more use cases rising, we see that Bitcoin and the technology that undergirds it, blockchain, becoming kind of an insurmountable thing to the existing order. It's something that they can't quite stop, the current authorities, they can't stop it. And so it's a very fascinating technology that I think, everyone, believers, unbelievers, it's interesting to all of us. There's certainly an interesting angle to it.
Yeah, well, I got to say, Jerry, he has a website and he has a company called followthemoney.com. And he not only knows a lot about cryptocurrency, but all sorts of information about investing. And so considering legacy and considering people taking their money and taking their lives and building a lasting legacy, where do you see cryptocurrencies in the future, 5, 10 years from now, playing a part in people's financial lives?
That's a good question. In their financial lives, first of all, I think that cryptocurrencies are going to eventually become much more widely adopted. I think you'll see people using them for all manner of purposes. Currency is really just the first app of blockchain technology. Yeah. So I think it's like we had spoken last night. We talked about HTTP protocol, for example. No one's really excited about HTTP, but they like YouTube, right? Or they like the app. They like Facebook. They like Twitter. So they like what it can do, but they may not necessarily like it. So right now we're in the phase where blockchain is trying to be understood. It would be the same thing if we were trying to understand TCP/IP protocol, which undergirds email. So nobody cares about the underlying, and except for technologists, and computer scientists.
It's like in Send it works, right?
Yeah. So I think we're at this phase where people are, the people who are actually creating the apps are trying to figure out the underlying technology and we're going to see it evolve. So there's going to be many, many different apps that people can use related to blockchain over the next 5 to 10 years. I think people who are investors, they want to seek out these apps and understand which ones may become large. For example, can you find the Facebook? Can you find the Google? Can you find the Twitter early?
Yeah.
And we're going to have those. So blockchain, or Bitcoin, was certainly an app on blockchain that exploded.
Right.
What's the next one? What's the next app that's going to revolutionize the world? And so I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a lot of wealth transferred, a lot of wealth created from people who are paying attention to this. Right now, Bitcoin composes a very small amount of the market capitalization globally. So the stock market is enormous, the bond market is enormous, the gold market is large, Bitcoin's minuscule. So I think as you slowly see financial advisors telling their clients, hey, let's put some money into Bitcoin perhaps, you're going to start seeing the slow evolution of institutional, large financial institution money flowing into Bitcoin and into other blockchain projects. And it's just going to inflate the prices of these things because many of them, like Bitcoin, are finite by nature, and the fact that you only have 21 million. So you can't create any more Bitcoin, that's all you have. So you have to deal with that limited supply. So any increase in demand, whatever that source is, suddenly spikes the price. So I think you're going to see higher prices. I think people who've invested, I was an early investor, I've been very happy with the returns. I think you're going to continue to see that kind of, those kind of returns.
Are you looking to get married? Suit Connection is having an awesome wedding special. Buy 4 suits or tuxedos at $200 or more and receive free dress shirts and ties. Search for them on Facebook by typing Suit Connection Tulsa or stop by at 61st and Sheridan in Tulsa.
Do you suffer with migraines, seizures, neuropathy, dementia, or movement disorders? Discover an independent concierge neurology practice with treatment from a Christian perspective by Dr. George Gonzalez.
Let me ask you, for a guy who knows absolutely nothing about Bitcoin, blockchain, like I'm as dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to the subject, where's the starting point for a guy like me to start learning?
Yeah.
And when I read something that I'll understand it, not just like, okay, I don't understand what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think the simple way to think about it is just really just try to understand it conceptually. I mean, again, you use the internet, right? You use email, right?
Correct.
So you're dealing with protocols. That's all you're dealing with. You're dealing with applications built upon those protocols. And so it's simply thinking of it as a protocol. It's simply thinking of it as, okay, this is a protocol where apps are being built upon. So Bitcoin is simply an application. That's really all that it is. So you're going, probably over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to find applications on Bitcoin or on blockchain that you like. And as we told the group last night, by the time that happens, it'll be too late to be an early investor, right? I think for people who want to leave a lasting legacy, one thing that they can look at is perhaps, taking a small portion of their capital, of course underneath the advice of a financial advisor, not listening, not taking their advice from TV or AM radio, but talking to a trusted financial advisor, maybe considering that. I think that's what we're going to see over time.
So is there a place that people can learn and dive into this on your website? Do you have material that they can download or website they can go to?
Yeah, so we do the hard research. We manage a portfolio of 10 different cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is one of them. We mentioned a couple of them last night at the speech. And so we provide a lot of insight into that. We have a lot of videos that people can watch on our website, followthemoney.com. We have a lot of podcasts we've done. I think listening to podcasts are a fantastic way to learn this stuff.
Sure.
But we also have, as I mentioned, a portfolio. People can access that on followthemoney.com. They can find out which ones have we invested in. We talked about last night. I mean, not to be overt or anything here, but I mean, we're talking about massive returns. Just one cryptocurrency that I invested in back in 2013 was up 150,000% as of earlier at the end of 2017. I mean, you can't get those kinds of returns anywhere.
Wow.
So spending a little bit of time scratching the surface on this,
learning.
I mean, books, library, but I would say there's really no magic bullet. You really have to kind of get your head around how protocols work and understanding that. It's another way to make this simple is to say that a protocol is to communication what a programming language is to computation. We all understand that programming languages control computers.
Right.
Well, the protocols control communication networks. And that's really what is so unique about blockchain, and specifically Bitcoin, is that it's based on cryptography.
Yeah.
And so it's a very novel, unique, powerful technology that we still don't fully understand how it's going to impact the world, but we know it's paradigm shifting.
Hi, my name is Matt Moore, president of the Young Businessmen of Tulsa. I pray that this program is a blessing to you and that it inspires you to grow in both your business and personal life. Did you know that many people, both young and old, hold a mentality that their success is all about them? When in reality, we know that our success is dependent on how well we can serve and meet the needs of others. Owning a business is a huge responsibility, and success is very important for not only you, but also your employees and your community. If our community is going to continue to thrive, we need to be proactive in promoting a business community that's focused on being excellent stewards in all areas of life so we can create lasting legacies. Today, we have a fantastic opportunity in front of us that could really take our city and community to the next level. Each program we air has the potential to reach over 1 million households. But in order to do this, we need to reach an extra $1,600 in monthly reoccurring giving. YBT is looking for two types of partners, those who can pledge $9 a month and those who can pledge $19 a month. Not only will we continue to share our Christ-centered message, but in order to keep with the spirit of YBT, a portion of each monthly pledge that you give will benefit our monthly Pay It Forward projects in order to help give back to our city. If you decide to pledge $19 a month, we will have your name scroll at the bottom of the screen on each program as a proud supporter. Every pledge is a tax-deductible donation. Will you help me make a bigger difference in our city? YBT has a track record of creating better leaders, and we have raised well over $145,000 for community projects since our conception. Join us as a co-producer as we take this message and program across the airwaves. Help us steward a message that will literally change people's lives forever. To make your pledge, please visit www.patreon.com/YBT.
So let's take kind of just a step back a little bit here. Now tell us just a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you come into this sequence of getting into cryptocurrencies, blockchain? Just a little more about your background.
Yeah, 30-second spiel. I was born and raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I came out of that cult in 1994. I was born again. Yeah.
Well, you're starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah. But I tell you, they're a loving people. I mean, when a Jehovah's Witness comes to your door, I mean, you have somebody who is literally on your doorstep, begging to know the truth.
That's right.
Right? And so, and had someone in my early years, a loving Christian, had not instead tried to prove that I was wrong or had not tried to slam the door in my face, but had lovingly approached me and said, hey, let me show you some things, in a loving way, not to denigrate you or make you feel stupid. And I think, so today I have that same passion for them and that compassion. But anyway, I was raised in that. I was born again whenever I was about 17 years old. I went to the University of Tulsa, really had a passion for economics and also how economics and theology crossed. I was really interested in that particular intersection.
Yeah.
And then I slowly got involved in economics. I became an economist. I've been trading for many, many years, an investor. But I stay away from investment advice, financial advice. I'm not an advisor. I'm an investor.
Yeah.
I invest for myself.
Right.
And I share my ideas with others. And so that's how I got into it. Cryptocurrencies I stumbled into I traded my first stock in 1996. I traded my first stock option in 2002. And then in 2013, I was introduced to cryptocurrencies by a fellow friend who had bought Bitcoin at 25 cents. And he said, you must buy Bitcoin.
He's doing good now.
Yeah, he's pretty happy.
Well, I mean, on that topic though, I mean, wouldn't you agree, though, even though we had this massive price spike in 2017 and we had somewhat of a downfall, I mean, we're still up in price in the cryptocurrency market, but people can still take a small amount of money, throw it in there, walk away from it, and 5 years from now, I mean, who knows what kind of returns? I mean, we're still early, aren't we? It's like the internet, early 1990s.
Extremely. It's very akin to that. And like I've said, we began on our podcast, the Follow the Money podcast, at our website. We began telling people, just go out and buy a Bitcoin. Just go out and buy one just for the experience of it. This was back, early on when they were $200.
You can buy one for 200,
right. Now today
Not
that's
a fraction
pretty,
of
that's
one.
pretty expensive today. But just being able to actually familiarize yourself with the new technology, to actually purchase one. I think just going through that process is very informative. So yeah, I think over time, gets back to your question again.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, really, the question was, I mean, yes, it is a volatile market.
Yes.
But you can take such a small amount of money, put it in there, and since we're still early in the game, still see great returns.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think diversifying, because which horse is going to win, which app is going to win out.
How many cryptocurrencies are there? I mean,
There's probably 1,500,
Wow,
more than
yeah,
that, and you
that's a
can
lot.
create one very simply. Anyone can. So, there's going to be many, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's it really depends on which coins are going to have demand.
Sure.
And that all depends upon the function and the structure of the coin. So, Bitcoin is certainly one, brand recognition all around the world. Everybody knows what it is. It's a very small market, so I think having a little exposure to that as an investor is a smart idea. And then also, kind of doing your due diligence, looking at other cryptocurrencies, realizing that about 98% of the coins that are out there are scams. They're complete scams. It's a market that's rife with corruption. But also realizing that this is a real fundamental technology that's life-altering. Yeah. And so trying to find those cryptocurrencies that may end up winning in the end, we have a list of about 10 we've come up with, and those are what we invest in.
Well, it's kind of like the dot-com boom when you had pets.com and people were paying enormous amounts of money for this stuff.
But then you also had Amazon.
Yeah, then you had Amazon, yeah.
You had Amazon,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, recently, we had, last week I think it was, there was a hack on Bitcoin. So, can you talk a little bit kind of how does that kind of thing happen when the blockchain technology? How does that kind of thing even come up?
Yeah, most of the hacking is occurring on the exchange, at the exchange level. So it's not really the blockchain itself that's being hacked. There was even a hack of one of the smart contracts on top of Ethereum, for those familiar with that. But it wasn't a hack of Ethereum, it was a hack of a layer on top of Ethereum. So these cryptocurrencies are not really hacked. The currencies where they're held, like the bank is robbed, right? So the bank may get robbed, but it doesn't mean the money itself is corrupt. It just means that people want the money.
I just figure for those who don't understand that, giving some depth to what that really means.
Yeah, but I don't think any individual who has, on their wall, or the entire network, I should say, has been hacked. Because my understanding is, in order to hack the entire network, you almost have the same amount of computing power as you do as the entire network is using. So
yeah.
This program is made possible by the generous support of the Demand Project, a nonprofit organization fighting to eradicate sex trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children. To find out how you can help, please visit thedemandproject.org today.
Could your business or organization benefit from TV advertising? KGEB Tulsa TV 53 broadcasts from the campus of Oral Roberts University and reaches the greater Tulsa metro. Contact us for more info at 918-488-5300.
Part of lasting legacies is talking about the legacy that you want to leave. And being an investor, and regarding this show, what advice would you give to someone who's at the beginning stages of investing, or middle stages, or end, for their family, for them to leave a lasting legacy? But then also, the follow-up question after that I would want you to answer would also be, with you, what legacy are you wanting to leave? At the end of the day, barring what God says, what do you want people to say about you?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the individual who's watching or listening and they're thinking, how do I leave a legacy with my investing? I think, of course, to remember that money is the chief competitor for our hearts. Yeah. There is no competitor for our hearts that's greater than money. And God knows this, and he puts it in his book. That's why money is, there's 2,350 plus verses about money in the Bible, right? Not because God wants us all to be filthy rich, but because he wants us to understand that this is a very dangerous topic for humanity. Right. It's a very dangerous topic, and so therefore we need to have a biblical view of money. And so I would say it begins with that. We have something called our 5 levels of financial freedom. It's something my wife and I did. We achieve financial freedom through these 5 levels. They're free on our website, followthemoney.com/5 levels. And it begins, what we learned is that you begin with charitable giving. So many people tend to think of charitable giving as something they do eventually. I'll do that when I write my will. I'll do that when I have enough money to have an estate plan, right? No. It's the exact opposite. The exact opposite is you begin with the end in mind, and you say, what is my purpose of accumulating money? Why am I accumulating money? Right. And then when you have your why, it's very powerful. I have a trader friend, for example, who likes to trade the markets. He's a commodities trader, and he gives the first $100 to God. So he'll trade, and the first $100 he makes. And so if he doesn't make any money, then he doesn't give any money, and of course that strains him. And so he wants to always be giving the first fruits. I think little things like that, little adjustments in your mind can be very powerful. And I think also thinking outside of the box. Today we live in a society that teaches you go to school, you go work for 40 years, you get the Timex, you retire, and hopefully you don't get fired along the way. And I think to think differently about that, maybe to think about instead of having one paycheck or one W-2 income stream, maybe having multiple income streams. We teach the importance of having multiple streams of income. Over time, my wife and I have built several. That could be real estate. They all come from many different places, but real estate, your own business, paper assets, you can generate money in many different ways. So thinking about it that way. Now, personally, when I think about what I want to leave as a legacy, when the Lord prompts you, when the Lord speaks to you, you do what He says. You may end up not being a success in the world, in the eyes of the world, right? You do what He says. Right. Noah looked like a pretty big failure, Abraham looked like a pretty big failure. So when you obey God, it doesn't always appear successful. You don't get to brag about it necessarily. But if you do what He tells you to do, you're going to be a success. So I would say listening to the voice of God, listening to His voice, listening to His word, and knowing His word. But on top of that, I would also say, especially for those of us who have children, one of the worst things you can possibly do to your child is teach them something that they have to unlearn later. And so I would say that, teaching your children things that they don't have to unlearn, teaching them things that they need to know. And I would say pouring into your children and even teaching them about money, because if you don't, the financial institutions are ready to be the financial educators. And they're waiting for your children. So it's important to teach your children. And oftentimes we don't know because we didn't learn in school. So I think a great way to get started is to educate yourself. The same way you would educate yourself on blockchain, by reading books and doing due diligence. We've talked, anybody who's listening to this and says this makes a lot of sense, our book is filled with this information. This is all what our book and our ministry is about. So followthemoney.com and our book, Bankruptcy of Our Nation, answers a lot of these questions.
That's great.
This program is made possible by the generous support of OklahomaBanner.com. Oklahoma Banner is a locally owned company providing custom-designed full-color banners shipped directly to you. They offer a wide variety of banner products. Visit OklahomaBanner.com today. It's been said that life is about capturing moments, so I encourage you to capture this moment right here and take a picture of my contact information to reach out to me later. It is most important when you find a real estate agent to find one with the ability to communicate with all involved, knowledgeable about the real estate market, and one's ability to negotiate contracts. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home within the next year, reach out to me. I'd love to see how I can help you reach your goals. Thank you so much. What I love is that you're an economist, you're a veteran chin trader, you know all sorts of things about investing, and that really does play a big part in lasting legacies.
That's right.
So
leaving a legacy.
Yeah,
that's right.
Jerry, I want to thank you for joining us today on set. The Young Businessman of Tulsa is really blessed to have you come out of state to speak to our group and to talk with us today about how to build a lasting legacy and to kind of teach us a little bit about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and the evolving technology. So, and what's really cool is we have this on podcast. Last night we recorded all this, so people can go to iTunes, search Young Businessman of Tulsa. They can go to our website. So, and I know you have a website too. Where can people find you?
Yeah, followthemoney.com is the best place to go. We have a podcast there. We have many different podcasts. We have many different free articles and videos that we've created over the years, PDFs that you can download for free. But followthemoney.com.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching us today on the YBT Lasting Legacy Show. If you want to find out more information about YBT, how to attend a lunch, you can go to ybtok.com. We have monthly luncheons, seminars, and programs that we put on all the time. We even have a great podcast, so if you want to go to iTunes, search for Young Businessmen of Tulsa, we would love to see you there, and hope you tune in next time on the Lasting Legacy Show.